What is going on, UB fans? We're here for a week 2 edition of Bullet Points. I'm Mike Bunt, joined alongside Carson Gates. You can call him Gatesy. And Gatesy, week 1, you picked a UB win against Minnesota. It didn't happen, but it was competitive going into the fourth quarter. We have a lot to talk about going into the Bulls' home opener against St. Francis. But let's just get started with the road performance last week. What were your big takeaways coming away from the loss?
My biggest takeaway from that loss, Bunty, granted, I last week I said I wanted a Bulls when I could see it happening. They covered. The biggest thing for me was that Red Murdoch was the guy out there. I know we kind of talked like, what's it going to look like without Sean Dolak there? He stepped up. He had 16 tackles last week, had a sack. He was just the driving force. Every time he was out there, he was just the guy to watch. That was super exciting. The offense, which I'm sure we're going to get to very soon, sputtered at times. That pass from Roberson to Snow was awesome. I thought the Bulls could hopefully build on that offensively. They couldn't get the run going. We'll see what happens this week, Bunty. But overall, that game, it kept me in it for all of it. You can see the final score. If it was 23-10, that might look like it was a bit of a blowout. But, Minnesota got that touchdown late. The defense held up for most of the contest. But, all said and done, last week at this time, how are you feeling after that game? The Bulls do cover. They don't get the win, but is there anything you saw from that outing that, made you feel good or maybe something you want to see improved going into week 2 here?
I mean, the obvious takeaway is what you already mentioned. Red Murdoch is a star, and he was the MAC Defensive Player of the Week, I believe for the second time in his career. 16 tackles, 1 sack, was second in the nation after week 1 in tackles, which, surprise, surprise, like anybody that's followed Red Murdoch in the last couple of years knows that's what he's capable of. Finished second in the nation last year in tackles. Number 1 was Sean Dolak, and I don't think many people would be surprised to see Red Murdoch finish in the top 5 in the nation this year in tackles for UB. It was a defensive game for UB. The defense shined. They kept a Big Ten team on the road to 20-something points, 23 points.
23, yep.
So great job by them. They stepped up. They gave their offense plenty of opportunities to try to come back and make it a close game. But also not a surprise, the offense struggling. You have a new quarterback who's only been here since the early part of the year. Now you hope that his experience would lead to better results. He's been in the college football for 6 to 7 years now. So you'd hope for a little bit more from Roberson, but it is going to take time for him to figure things out with this offense. The good news is Minnesota was probably the toughest test that UB will face all season. And the next couple of weeks might be the 2 easiest games that the Bulls will face the entire year. So with that being said, what was your takeaways with Taquan Roberson?
Yeah, I was a little concerned those early drives specifically, but it was kind of tough. I mean, he only had 20 passing attempts. The Bulls offense ran him a lot more than I was expecting. Last week we talked about how CJ Agbana, especially under Coach Mo, they ran him a lot, but under Coach Lembo, he became more of a pocket passer, was throwing the ball a bit more. But Roberson ran the ball a bit more and had 0 success doing that for the Bulls. But he had some good throws. There were some times he looked, maybe not to a level that was going to have UB win that game. But I think it's something the Bulls can build off of. This is a guy who I think is going to try to prove it. He's going to, go up against an SFU team this week. You're not going to be playing against Big Ten defensive line. You're not going to be playing against Big Ten corners, safeties. Hopefully the Bulls offense can find a bit more, fluidity there, especially in the run game where, they really struggled. Henderson only had 25 yards. The Minnesota D-line absolutely just swallowed the UB run game, and the Bulls stuck to the run for a lot longer than I was expecting on Thursday, which I think hurt them in the long run. But, I think going into this week, I really want to see that run game kind of get to that next level. And, we see a guy like Henderson who really found success last year. I think this week is going to be a big showing of just getting him back on track, showing that he's one of the top backs in the MAC.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And I think one game is too early to really tell
100%.
what type of quarterback Roberson will be. CJ Agbana had a lot of struggles last year, and going into the year, expectations were pretty low by the fan base for what Agbana would bring to the table. And then by the middle of the season, and then going into the MAC play, Agbana ended up having a really good year to the
That's
point.
awesome.
If he had eligibility left, he was hoping to transfer up, which is kind of when you think about it. But I think Roberson offers a little bit of a dual threat. He obviously wants to get it done more in the pocket than running, but these next 2 weeks, opportunities for him to really start lighting it up. I would have liked to see more through the air. The passing game did leave a lot to be desired. 20 attempts, 107 yards. And when you know you got like 41 yards on one of those passes, that means you had 19 attempts for about 66 yards. That's really, really ugly overall. But I'll say that's first game, new team, on the road, Big Ten school, good defense. So I can overlook some of that. St. Francis, Kent State, these next 2 weeks, these are games that you need Roberson to kind of light it up. Also, UB's run game was overmatched too against Minnesota. They weren't able to really get anything going. LJ Henderson is one of the best running backs in the Mid-American Conference and one of the better ones in all the group of five. And to have 25 yards, that was I'm not blaming him for it, but it was a bit of an underwhelming performance. And the one exciting thing, I guess, if you're a UB fan, is that you got to see Victor Snow have an explosive play, which that play seemed slow motion. He was so wide open. You were just hoping, don't mess this up on the throw. But I'm not overly concerned about Roberson. It's too early. I know a lot of fans were very critical of him during the game. We got to remember they're playing Minnesota. That's a level up in competition. Even though Minnesota isn't world beaters, I believe they did go 8-5 last year overall and 5-4 in the Big Ten. That's a good team. It's a good team, and there's a reason why they were 16.5-point favorites going into the game. Now, let's talk about this matchup this week. We don't have a line on this game as far as what I've been looking. I've been trying to see one. I don't know if that's because they play at a lower level, FCS versus FBS, but if you go off of ESPN's analytics, UB has a 96.3% chance of winning this game, which basically is the same chance that Ohio State has against Ohio University in a week. So what that's saying is there is no way that St. Francis should be able to pull an upset. And just to put in perspective, in their opener, St. Francis got shut out by Louisiana Monroe, 29-0. And Louisiana Monroe, for those of you that are unfamiliar, they play in the Sun Belt, but they're a team that very low budget conference similar to the MAC, and they would probably not be a great team even if they were in the MAC, and they handled this St. Francis team. If they were able to shut them out, chances are UB is going to have a dominant defensive performance on Saturday. What are you expecting? This game is a 3:30 kickoff, ESPN Plus, Saturday home game, home opener for UB.
I think this is going to be, the get right game for the Bulls. And not that the Minnesota game was, the house is on fire, we're panicking, but this is going to be a time where the offense can find some fluidity, can find some poise. We can kind of see what this team is going to look like getting into MAC play. It's very hard to see, what the season is going to look like when they're going up against a Big Ten team week one. You have a new quarterback, you have some new pieces in. How is this all going to come together? I think this game here is going to be a big, just look ahead in a way that this Bulls team can find some confidence, find, ways to get some points on the offense, get Roberson comfortable with his receivers, get the backs going a bit more because, the UB isn't going to go on this big run we talked about last time of, hopefully competing for a MAC championship. If they can't get their run game going, they're going to need Henderson to, bounce one out for, a 50-yard run touchdown, which is pretty probable this week. I just want to see this offense keep going. And then on the defensive side, Bunty, just see what we saw last week. Red Murdoch be that guy. Kobe Stewart had half a sack. The Bulls defense stepped up when needed. Minnesota got that touchdown late in the fourth quarter on that big long play. So, see the defense continue what they're doing, and I need to see the offense get to that next level this week. What do you want to see?
Yeah, I'm the same way as you, Gatesy. I just need to see the defense continue what they did week one. And If you're asking me an over/under for St. Francis, like I think the number has to be like 7 points. Like, does St. Francis score a touchdown in this game?
How many did you say?
Around 7 points. Like,
Yeah.
I,
Oh, yeah.
St. Francis just got shut out against a
Mhm.
low-level Division I team. I'd be upset if UB allows double digits in this game.
Yes, I agree.
I really don't think UB should allow more than 10 points. And we'll see. I mean, I know that's a high bar even against a lower-level team, but the Bulls' defense was great against Minnesota. Now you're playing a much lower-level competition. Come out, ball out, do what you need to do. What I need to see offensively, I need to see 30 points. I need to see them put up some points against a lower team. LJ Henderson needs to get 100 yards on the ground. Roberson needs to pass for at least 175. Will they be lighting it up in there? Probably not, because this is a game where they're dominating defensively. Maybe they won't feel like they need to light it up in there. But you have conference play starting 1 week from now against Kent State. And then obviously 2 non-conference games against Troy and UConn. But I know Kent is a joke and that they barely got by Merrimack.
They got a great returner, though. I don't know if you saw that video, Bunty.
But you can't take anything for granted. So you need to make sure that your team is ready to go in a week so they can start Mid-American Conference play 1-0. Yes. So this is one where let it all out. Get Victor Snow involved. Get Nick McMillan involved. Let the guys make some nice plays, pad their stats a little bit. I don't want to say I always hate when you assume the win because crazy things do happen, and we have seen Buffalo lose games against FCS competition before. But this is really not one of those where it'd be acceptable. If UB lost to St. Francis, we might as well not even cover the rest of the season because they won't do what we're hoping them to achieve. So I hate kind of doing these early season previews when it's games like Minnesota and games against St. Francis because they really don't teach you a ton about your team. Now, if you keep it close against Minnesota, you can say, okay, we're not far away. Maybe we're a good team. But at the end of the day, you struggled on the road like you expected. Now you're playing a team that you're expected to dominate. If you don't dominate them, it's like, what are you doing? What's going on? And then the next couple of weeks are when things get a little bit more real for me. So if you had let's just do a prediction quick. We're going to keep this a quick show just because obviously NFL opener tonight between the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles, and then Jessie Pegula in the U.S. Open semifinals. I think she was losing, unfortunately. So that's some disappointing news. Let's see what the score on that one is. It looks like down 4-3 in the third set. So you never know.
Never crazy things have happened.
Back to the U.S. Open finals. But give me a prediction. What do you think is going to happen this week?
I think we're going to see, Bunty, we're going to see this Bulls team get to that next level. They're going to come out with the win. I do think, Bulls aren't going to shut out this SFU team. I think they're going to get a touchdown in there at some point. Especially the Minnesota game. The Bulls defense was great. Especially in the red zone, but they gave up some longer plays, let them march down the field a bit, but really shut the door in the red zone with some stops, forced field goals, forced turnover on downs. I think we're going to see SFU get one in the end zone, but I see the Bulls putting up 34. So I'm going 34-7, Bulls win. It's going to look great on that brand new scoreboard, Bunty. I can't wait to see it in the person because that old one, it blows my mind how long they've had that, but I see the Bulls walking into UB Stadium, getting a much-needed win, getting the offense on track, and moving into Kent State the following week. What about you?
That might be the highlight of this weekend, is just for most people to see the new video board. It's actually the same structure. So they didn't build a new video board. A lot of people thought, like, what's it going to look like? Is it going to be something different? It's the same exact structure. They just – in the past, they had ads on the left and the right side, and they
just had a laptop up there.
No, now it's all video board.
Thank
so
God.
There's not, like, however they want to have it look, they can do, but it's all video board, which is going to look a lot better, a lot bigger, and easier to see replays. Because honestly, in recent years, it got so bad to where you couldn't even really see anything.
It was like 240p
replays, and I know fans have been wanting this change for a very, very long time. The next thing they'll be talking about is the track.
Get it? I want it out.
that they might be hoping for a long time for that. I don't think that's anywhere near taking place from what I've talked to people, at least. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Number one,
like,
what are you going to, number one, like, you get rid of a track, what do you do? Like, you still have that separation between the stands and the field. So,
you have to like sink the field and add more seating in.
Well, but then you're talking about millions and millions of dollars. Like, I don't even know if that's tens of millions or if that's 100 million or what. Like, you're talking definitely tens of millions of dollars to sink the field lower. And then what benefit does that really get when you're not even coming close to selling out your games anyway? And how many people really aren't going to UB games just because of the track? Like, we all can say it takes away from the experience, but how many people truly aren't going to UB games because of the track? Probably a lot less than what we all complain about. And then the other dynamic at place that nobody even talks about, UB has a track and field team. So if they get rid of the track, they need to put the track somewhere else. So that's not as easy said as done, as easy said as done type thing either. So I don't get the sense that that's ever going to happen anytime soon. But let's also I'll make my prediction quick.
Yep.
I believe UB is going to cruise. I like 31 for a number, but I don't want to have the same pick. I'll go 34-6. UB.
Yeah, I said 34-7, so we're getting even closer here.
I'll give St. Francis a touchdown, and then maybe they miss on a 2-point conversion or something. Who knows? Maybe 2 field goals or whatever. I'm giving myself some space right there. But the UB should dominate on both sides of the ball in this one. Now, let's wrap up, go around the MAC. We saw some competitive games week 1 throughout the conference. Not really many marquee wins, but a lot of competitive contests.
You saw a great game there, Bunty.
I saw a great one in Rutgers where OTD, one of our favorite people, he Rancher Creamy Italian for the
Well, I just got back from the gym, so it's not its best look right now, OTD, but next week's show, it'll be pristine for you. I'm letting you know now.
Yeah, OTG always, it wouldn't be a show without an interesting comment from him.
I was getting a little worried. I didn't see him, so.
I told him that you love the comments from him, so great fan of the show. Mm-hmm. But around the MAC, a lot of great games. I was at Rutgers for Ohio versus Rutgers, and Ohio fell behind 31-14 early, and then tied it up. And had a chance to take the lead in the fourth quarter, unable to put it away. They lose 34-31. Toledo with a competitive game on the road against Kentucky. Couldn't really get their offense going, but very good defensive game by them. Miami, Ohio, I believe, was shut out 17-0 by Wisconsin. Mm-hmm. They have Daquan Finn, who was the former MAC Player of the Year, and just their offense was horrendous against Wisconsin. Absolutely nothing. Couldn't get anything going. You did have some wins in the MAC, not too many
Central Michigan
opponents. Central Michigan with a close one that went down to the wire, missed field goal, I believe. Mm-hmm. Bowling Green with a win. Eddie George, the former Ohio State great and Tennessee Titan, getting his first FBS victory for the Falcons. So also
they have that mascot. Have you seen their cat?
That's the chunky cat. You love cats, so you probably love that mascot.
It was awesome. This cat, I don't know how it's just chilling at a football game, hanging out, but this thing is every time I open Twitter, Bunty, I see this cat just doing something. It's I think the most popular player on the team is this cat at the moment.
But yeah, we'll be talking about the league throughout this year. I'll actually be back at Ohio. I'll be at Ohio this weekend. They host West Virginia. It's a sellout at Peden.
Whoa.
So they're only 3.5-point underdogs. And then I have tickets for their game against Ohio State the week after, which I don't even know why I'm doing that. I'm spending $200 for like 50-yard line seats to watch my school lose by like 60. But yeah, it's a fun time. There's always hope across the league. I still kind of stand with where I was going into this season, that there's 4 teams in the MAC that are truly contenders, and then there's a lot of unknowns after that. But I see you have the graphic up, plus 450 to win the MAC. If you were a betting man, Gatesy, I don't know if you are or not, but that's something we really never have talked about.
We keep it private.
I like to make picks based on spreads, but I have never I've never made an official bet wager in my life. So that's a little probably
Yeah.
surprising to most people that
Well, the
why
books have changed a lot from last week. Because I know we looked at what, Vegas thought the MAC would look like. Toledo's at plus 210 to win the MAC. Ohio plus 260. Bulls plus 450. And Miami of Ohio really fell off. They're at plus 1,200 to win the MAC.
what
About the same as
1,200?
Yeah, the same as Bowling Green. So that
What were
Wisconsin,
they last week?
it was a lot less. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it was in triple digits.
Wow. Matt, thank you for tuning in. This bunt never stops. You guys are crazy with the things that you put on the show. So
the Buntamaniacs are running wild right now.
Actually, I'll tell you this. Matt is actually a really good friend of mine. We split Sabres season tickets. So he actually has privately texted me saying that he wants to be featured in a Crossing Swords pod episode one of these days. So
he's talking to the right two guys right here.
So considering we help run the Crossing Swords pod, I think we might make that happen someday.
We can make something.
We might get you on there and the podcast. It's not Matt. I love the love, but it's a Gatesy cast. It's a Gatesy cast. We have to give Carson the love. He's the one that makes Crossing Swords what it is. So and then Bullet Points. Obviously, glad to have him on. But that plus 450 number is interesting because I didn't know that the numbers dropped so much for Miami.
Yeah.
And did something come out week one, or was it just they were so bad against Wisconsin that maybe the thought is that Finn really isn't the guy? I will say this.
Yeah.
I think Ohio is one of the two best. Like from what I saw against Rutgers, even if they start 0-3, that is one of the top two teams in the MAC in my opinion.
Yeah, and it means nothing going into MAC play anyways. I think I'd rather go up against those good teams and you can kind of get some sort of idea what your squad's going to look like going into the season.
You like the plus 450? I think that's a good spot for UB. Number 3 in the league.
Yeah.
I don't know if I trust Toledo. If I'm at plus 450, I'm feeling like I'm going to have a good shot at getting to the MAC championship if I'm UB.
Yeah, I really like that number 450 for them. I got some numbers here from I think preseason what they were and how much that's changed. I got their win total for the year going into the season was 7.5 wins. Over under of that. But yeah, to win the MAC, there were 750 before the season. So last week helped them out in terms of what it's going to look like, whether that be how they played against Minnesota or just the unknown hate against Miami of Ohio after the Wisconsin game, Bunty. But I think we'll see what this Bulls team can really. I think they'll have a better understanding of what their MAC schedule is going to look like after this game, after this SFU game, where the offense can get going. They're not playing a Big Ten team, so excited to see what this Bulls team looks like on Saturday. Yeah, anything you're feeling going to this game that we haven't touched on tonight?
I'm just kind of waiting to get past these first couple games of the season.
I need Maction, Bunty. I need Maction so bad.
I just need Kent State to be here just so you can get MAC play underway. Hopefully grab a quick win, get some momentum, move to 2-1. And then it's the non-conference games. It's Troy and UConn. Troy isn't a great Sun Belt team. Oh, God, we got to be careful. There might be some UB fans that don't like that comment, Matt. But Troy is a Sun Belt team, has had good teams in the past. Troy is going to be good competition for UB. If the Bulls beat Troy, get to 3-1, that UConn game becomes really interesting because UConn smacked the hell out of UB last year. But it was on the road, and that was still a UB team kind of figuring itself out early in the season.
Taquan Roberson revenge game as well.
It is. That's a big factor. Former UConn starting quarterback. If UB can find a way to start 4-1 somehow, say they can get off to a nice 4-1 start, then you have MAC play coming on. That's how you get to a 9, maybe 10 win season. Now I'm not at that point where I feel like this team is that level, but I went into the season thinking UB was an 8 or 9 win team, depending on bowl games, MAC championship, how things play out. So that plus 450 is interesting. And, as much as I hate like UB playing Ohio and vice versa. Like as far as like it makes it hard for me like as a fan of both schools. A UB like Ohio MAC championship would be amazing. Like I would absolutely love it because I would know I'm getting a championship like one way or another. And Ohio ended a drought last year that was something like 56 years. From 1968 to 2024, like so that was wild. And then even UB's drought, like you think about it, like it's crazy, like saying anything about a drought with UB football, but their last championship was 2008 with Turner Gillum. That's a 17-year drought. They blew an opportunity against Northern Illinois with Lance Leipold, where they really had the game won. So I think that plus 450 is intriguing and probably the best numbers out of anybody in the conference right now. So I'd be really intrigued to see that. Okay, we're almost half an hour in. Like we said, we're going to keep this episode short. Casey, any final thoughts before we end the show?
Yeah, I mean, we really hit the nail on the head of just what last week meant, what this week meant. The biggest thing I'm just looking forward to and just want to see is just this UB offense. What are they going to look like against a non-Big Ten defense? Where you see UL Monroe, what they put up against SFU last week. I'm excited to see, this offense find some rhythm and just get a little insight of what this year is going to look like for the Bulls. I think this week is going to be a big insight. They're not going to be playing in SFU every single week, but the MAC is not the Big Ten. In case you're curious on if they were the same, they're not. So I think seeing how this Bulls team does against a weaker opponent will give us a better insight of what this year is going to look like for the Bulls, how Roberson is for this offense. He has week 1 under his belt going into Minnesota. I think he can build off that last game and, use McMillan more, find Snow, get the end zone, and the Bulls need to get 30 points, Bunty.
Oh, by the way, did you see what I hate doing this during a UB podcast, so I'm going to apologize, but it's only fitting that we would get an update about the Sabres.
Oh no, something happened now.
UB podcast, and you probably saw this earlier. I'm just seeing it now, but Chad DeDominicis was saying earlier that he doesn't have any confirmation that a deal is done yet. However, it seems as though the Sabres and Tuck have made good progress towards a new deal. So
you're scaring me. I feel
so. Just good. You know what?
Good vibes. Good vibes in Buffalo.
Good vibes.
Bills week 1.
UB's about to get in the win.
Home opener.
We're feeling good. This is the happy time of the year.
Positivity podcast is back.
Hope springs eternal right now. The Bills are undefeated. The Sabres are undefeated. UB's undefeated in a MAC play. The Sabres are thinking about locking up their key players. And I do have, for those of you that do follow our Sabres stuff, Crossing Swords, that is actually going to be a weekly podcast this year. So that's big news for those of you that watch that.
We're spending a lot of time together, Bunty.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot between UB and the Sabres. We're just going to have to make sure that we talk about the right things on the right shows. But Crossing Swords is probably going to become a weekly thing. And I do have one hot take that I don't think I can hold until October or whenever we get resume with that. And I don't know if I've told you this one. It's if Josh Norris, if he plays 75 plus games, the Sabres are going to be in wild card contention until the very final week or two of the season.
I would even say the P word, Bunty.
Yeah. Like I think it's very possible. And if he plays in 60 or less, the season's over. Like it's already over. And you know what the wild thing is? Like that was something where I don't even know if a lot of Sabres fans were like thinking that way. But now like some people are like, well, if Norris is healthy, like maybe they. And then you see Jay Fresh coming out with his projections, and I don't know, man. Don't want to take it too far, but this is a UB show. But we'll save this for another day.
Good vibes are flowing right now in Buffalo sports, whether it be the Bulls, the Bills, or the Sabres, Bunty. It's hard not to be happy.
100%. But guys, going to be a fun weekend to be a Bulls fan. Get out to UB Stadium, support this team. They deserve the support of Buffalo sports fans. No more 10,000 people at UB Stadium, 11,000 people. We are way past COVID now. We have a 9-4 team from last year. that is a MAC title contender that had a dominant bowl win against a very good Liberty program that is entering year 2 of the Pete Lembo era, and it deserves all of our support. 96.3% chance of winning this week, according to ESPN Analytics. Support the team, have some fun. They're probably going to get off to a 2-1 start, have a chance for a 3 or 4-1 start. So support the team. Gatesy, Mike, let's go Bulls.